Hey guys, this is Xfox Games here. I'm just going to do a sort of a quick review of, I think this is the challenge level called Annie Drill on Lord of the Rings, War of the Ring. So this is going to be Wave 1. You can see my guy's level 13. Really not equipped very well. I was just playing another round where I just kept getting smashed, so I came here to hopefully try to level up a little bit. So really all I try to do in level 1 here is just, you know, kill the mobs. Really, you shouldn't die here unless you're too much unequipped. So I'll just try and kill a lot of the slow ones. I actually sort of messed up my ranger in the beginning. I gave him too much dexterity instead of power with the sword, which I guess sort of really up to you what you want to do. But here, see, I'm just going to go ahead and kill these guys here. That's sort of my technique. So I finished wave 1. So wave 2 is coming up. And wave 2 is very similar to wave 1, except you know, you just have I think a few more of those, I guess, bigger guys, whatever you want to call them, there with the single swords. So what I do is I try to, you know, while those guys are running up, I try to hopefully arch a couple of those guys. And of course, just keep throwing them arrows out there. Okay. And so I try to again kill all those slow crawler guys because they seem to be, they seem to strike the quickest. So I try to get them first. And I let Fan or Fairy, whatever his name is, try to let him tank most of it because he seems to be able to take the most damage with the amount of items I put. So try to get all those smaller guys. Okay. Try to get them. Yep. So perfect. Wave 2 is done. You can see really not too much. Really didn't put too much effort into number 2 there. So here comes phase 3 or wave 3. And wave 3, I should have started up top because they put a lot of those archers down there. So what I try to do is I try to bow and arrow a bunch of their heads off for their archers because the archers seem to do the most damage. So try and go ahead and arch, or blow their heads off of them. Perfect. And then of course, I've been trying to get the guys without the shields first, since they seem to block a lot of my normal hits. There we go. Try and break that shield. I'm just going to stand in her shield for a little bit and get my health back up. Even though I do have 7 health potions, I went ahead and just stood there anyway. And of course, just going to go ahead and try and snipe him. And for some reason, I keep shooting at the guy with the shield. So I'm going to come up here, just do some pretty massive damage. And I love this game for how it does those moves right there when we really do that counter-strike. So of course, sort of the second phase to phase 2 is when they put the archers down below. So first thing I try to do is you actually should shoot the guys without the helmets first to blow off their heads, and then try to headshot all the other guys here and save yourself again, because the archers are really the ones that are going to do the most damage to you. Sorry guys, I'm a little sick, so you guys hear me sniffling and sneezing. So for these guys with the shields, I always try to do the fierce blows or get them turned around. And then of course, if they're on the ground, make sure you always go in and do the end strikes there. So I think we're almost about done with phase 3 here. Not a lot of these guys left. we go. So that phase is pretty easy. Again, just make sure that you get the archers up top, you shoot them in the head, and then, of course, when the archers come down the bottom, basically you follow the same thing. So not too difficult. What is very difficult here on these few next rounds is your weapons start to degrade a little bit. So you might have to have a second inventory set to make sure that you can pass this next phase here. So this is very similar to phase 1 where they send out these, I don't even know what you want to call them, sort of the smaller goblins. And just make sure what I typically do is I will kill the archers first, because again, those are the ones that do the most damage to you. And then I'll try to kill the smaller guys here, the ones that crawl, because they're pretty simple. I think 2 or 3 shots from the bow. And then these guys here, just make sure you follow it back in. And of course, killing the archers here, pretty simple.
Take refuge here. I will shield us.
Of course, follow it back up. And I always try to distance myself a little bit from the other crew here, because usually they can pretty much handle themselves. So you can see that phase was pretty much the same as 1, with the exception of a few stronger guys and a few archers on the things. So in this phase, it's pretty much the same thing as the last phase that we did, except they send a little bit more of these ground creatures and some more of the tougher guys below at you. So what I do is sort of the same strategy here. I go ahead and try and fight these the smaller running guys, the ones that really hit you really quick. Try and get them first, and then kill any of the archers. I'd recommend you try and go for the archers first if you can, because again, they're the ones that are going to do the most damage to you. And here, I make a little bit of a mistake. I should have tried to pull some of them out. There were just too many of them here. I should have tried to pull some of them out to make it a little easier for healing and things like that.
Back on your feet, my friend. We need your help.
I'm in your debt.
Usually when you're close like this, it's hard to see, and sometimes I get in the way.
Come on, Ranger.
Yeah, just too many of them, especially the guys with the shields. First, I'm just going to go ahead and try and kill all these guys without dying again. Usually the guys with the glowy guys are pretty tough, so you can see I die quite often. But you know, easy heals, go right back in.